So my name is Megan Zipperer. I'm a third-year PhD student in the Anatomical Sciences and Neurobiology Department of IPIBS. Currently, I'm serving as the director of the Science Policy and Outreach Group at the University of Louisville. And today I'm going to talk about how this organization is working to address inequities in STEM fields using outreach and community engagement. And I want to say real quick that Claire Westcott is here today, and she was the director before me and did just an amazing job setting up the infrastructure of SPOG, and I want to credit her in that. So first, a little bit about SPOG. The Science Policy and Outreach Group, abbreviated SPOG, and that's how I'll refer to it from here on, can pretty much be divided into two main branches. So LSP, which Sarah and James just did a great job talking about, is one of these branches of SPOG, and it's a huge undertaking, and they've done a lot of amazing work and a very comprehensive talk on that. So I won't be focusing a lot on that today. The rest of the SPOG can basically be divided into science policy, so creating a dialogue with members of Congress and promoting science-based policy. And then we have outreach, with the goal being to expose students to science-related careers and research at a young age. And outreach will be the focus of my presentation today. As I said, one of our goals is to engage the community and introduce them to the importance of science. Here I've provided two examples of that. We have a partnership with LRSCF, which is the Louisville Regional Science and Engineering Fair, where we help judge the science fair and run something called the Ambassador Program, which is where we engage with students that didn't progress to the next round. The point is to get them excited about science and returning in the following years. We also partner with the Kentucky Science Center and Society for Neuroscience to help with something called Brain Days, where we do a lot of hands-on neuroscience demonstrations to get the community knowledgeable and excited about neuroscience. So this is all great and serves the purpose of getting the general community excited about STEM. So if you're not familiar with the abbreviation STEM, it's for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And getting students to consider careers in neuroscience. However, we know that there are people that are historically underrepresented in STEM fields, such as women and underrepresented minority groups. So I used the same figure as Sarah, and we actually didn't plan that. We didn't look at each other's presentations, but I'm thinking that means that I've done something right if we've used the same figures. So real quick, I'm going to explain this term, underrepresented minority, abbreviated from here on as URM. A URM can be defined as a group whose percentage of the population in a given group is lower than their percentage of the population in the country. So in our case, that given group would be STEM fields. This figure from the National Center for Science and Engineering Statistics from 2017 illustrates very well, I think, the disparities in science and engineering occupations compared against the rest of the US population. You can see that white men make up the highest proportion of these occupations, with women accounting for less than their percentage of the regular population across the board. Black men and women, Hispanic men and women make up a much smaller percentage of STEM occupations when compared to the demographic makeup of the US as a whole. Obviously, this is not because of a lack of interest or ability. It can be due to a lot of factors like implicit bias, lack of quality education and mentors, unequal access to resources throughout elementary, middle, high school. So the question is, why do we have these inequities at the level of, for example, middle and high school? So funding for public schools is oftentimes provided through local taxes, generating large differences between communities. Schools don't have equal resources to pay for the hands-on activities that are most effective at engaging students in STEM. This unequal access perpetuates these established inequalities. And of course, Jefferson County is not exempt from this. So what we're looking at here is data from the Greater Louisville Project from 2017, comparing NAEP math scores from Jefferson County Public Schools, solid line here, to the rest of Kentucky, dotted line here. As you can see here on the x-axis, we're looking at years, so 2009 to 2019, and on the y-axis, we're looking at scores. So here are higher scores, lower scores, and there are clear scoring disparities between different demographics, with white students performing better than their URM counterparts. What I think this does really well is illustrate that we have an issue with, well, first of all, this indicates a failure on the part of the county. And so we know now we have an issue with representation in STEM, and we have these inequities at the level of high school that are quantifiable. So what can we at UofL do to help bridge these inequities? So addressing these issues is one of the cornerstones of the SPOG mission, and I provided here a list of some of our overarching goals. So using SPOG as a tool to link resources at the University of Louisville with underserved schools through partnerships and direct outreach opportunities for members, give students examples of diverse STEM professionals so they can look at a professional and see themselves in that position. Educate students about careers in STEM fields, they have the tools to pursue them, and and introduce students to STEM topics that they might not have been exposed to otherwise. So one of the things that we do, of course, is Louisville Science Pathways, and I'm not going to talk much about that because, again, Sarah did a great job explaining, but this gives students an opportunity to get paid to work in a lab. So a student that might normally have to work over the summer can get the opportunity to get paid to work in a lab. They wouldn't have the opportunity to shadow for free or do an unpaid internship because they might have to be working. So this is a great opportunity for students to get into a physical lab. Another thing that we do is science fair mentoring with high school and middle school students. We've had a partnership with Central High School for several years. They have a 93% URM population. We link graduate students with these high school and middle school students so they can share their science expertise and teach students, for example, how to be more quantitative with their science, how many trials to do, statistics, interpretation of data, etc. It sort of levels the playing field for when they attend the regional science fair. This year, we also started doing virtual mentoring with W.E.B. Du Bois, which is an all-Black boys middle school. Outreach opportunities like this help to address that first goal of getting resources from UofL to the schools. This past year, SPOG also participated in the Youth Science Summit at the Kentucky Science Center, the purpose of which was to empower young adults in STEM and give them a chance to interact with and learn from professionals. So we put together a video using interviews from all female grad students, including a postdoc and a med student, from a lot of different backgrounds to explain their path to a science career and explain what it's like to be a scientist. And these are all just snapshots. All the interviews, of course, were sent virtually. And these are all just snapshots from the different interviews. And this addresses the goal of giving examples of diverse professionals and educating students about careers in STEM fields. And it was very interesting because a lot of people, science was not their first choice. They thought they wanted to maybe be an artist or musician. And it's cool to see all the different paths to becoming a scientist. In 2019, we also, the School of Medicine co-hosted an event to demonstrate careers in STEM to women. So this is a girls STEM summit. There were 150 girls, and SPOG hosted something called a shocking neuroscience experience, where we did hands-on activities like neuroanatomy lessons, neuron demonstration, and a hack the nervous system experiment. And this is close to the heart for me because what got me interested in neuro in the first place was doing a really wacky and honestly just goofy demonstration when I was in high school. I had no interest in science, and then someone made me stand up and throw a bunch of balls at someone. They were like, "This is a neurotransmitter," and I thought it was just so great. And what I've talked about so far is obviously not an exhaustive list of what we've done, but just key examples of some of the targeted outreach we've been involved in, either through partnerships or SPOG-specific outreach. So some of the things we have in the works currently, we have this new partnership with Olmsted North, which has a high percentage of URM students. We'll be helping participate in a career panel 24th and a STEM speaker series throughout the do neuroscience demonstrations. Sorry, but we're always looking for new ideas and suggestions. So whenever we get to the Q&A portion, I would love to hear if anyone has ideas or questions. Thank you so much for your time. Sorry, I started choking right there at the end on my water.